Okay, so we're on to our next project, which is this very loose bouquet of flowers. And I think you can see with a Sharpie, I have drawn the lines that I'd like you to draw in pencil as we start our pencil sketch. And I think 1, 2, yep, that's exactly right. I think the first thing that we want to do when we are kind of, placing things is to notice that this is a little bit right of center. And if I look at the if I line up the vase here and I compare it to the top of the flowers, the vase is slightly taller than the flowers, but almost the same size. So when I come over here, I'm going to kind of come to my right. And then I'm going to come here and make sure that my vase, that this is the relationship of the top of the vase. By the way, the top of the vase is here. You're not going to draw it, but I'm going to show it to you. Right? You can't see it because the flower is blocking it. Yeah. And there should be some space on the bottom as well. So you can see I'm kind of marking my vase top and bottom, and then just double checking the width of the vase at the widest point is also, the vase is about the same height as it is wide. Once I establish that, and what you just want to make sure is that you have room for this on this side and this on this side and this underneath. So when you're sketching, here, I can come down a little bit. Also notice that although this is a round vase, it still has a kind of what appears to be a flat bottom. And then once I sketch this out, I can get, I'm sorry, this line is not really drawn very well. Well, I did it again. Okay, that's the line you want. You want to draw down. I'm going it's a little bit wider here than it is when it comes up here. And then there's this circle. Pay attention to relationships. Where does the circle start and end? It kind of starts here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is kind of skip over the leaves and really start by sketching the outer shapes of the flowers. Oh, I think that one needs to be a little bit bigger. I don't have fabulous erasers right now. Come up with. So this one kind of comes over the top and the bottom. I'm going to skip over the leaves, but I'm going to try and get the space between these correct. And notice I'm kind of fiddling with the shapes of things. If you'd like, I can send this. Actually, let me do that really quickly. I think I've shown you the beginning here. Let me stop this for a second. I'm going to send this across the thread so you have it. What's that? By the way, I really love how obsessed you guys are with watercolor. It's neat. I love seeing people show up. And become kind of obsessive about it. Great. Here, let's do this. I'm gonna turn it around, turn. Hang on, Paul.
Yeah, I'm just sending it.
Yeah. Let me send this across. You guys have a short. And let's here. I want you to kind of see this carry through. There we go. Come on. There we go. Ah, okay, well, I can't see it, but here we are. So now, let's scoot out just a little. Okay, I'm gonna skip. I'll maybe do. No, I'm just gonna skip kind of out here. When I'm sketching these, I'm also looking at these that you can see, these are kind of touching a little bit. These don't even, but it is good to pay attention to the shape of them. I've kind of left a little bit too much space here. So I may like actually just literally tape off my painting. And actually this is a neat thing there. Or maybe I'll just leave it there and see if it's problematic. Might not be problematic. Once I've added in my flowers, I can go back and add in the leaves. These organic shapes, as he's sketched them in, are really quite nice. And no need to rush on this, you guys. I'm not trying to rush you. And you don't have to get everything. You just have to get kind of the. Oh, I can see this is a little bit big. I know it's big. I'm making this a little bit smaller so I have some more space.
I was just measuring that. I just measured it and I was like, wow, it's almost the size of the oval in the.
Yeah, but you may also still have to adjust a little bit And this is a little bit small. And this comes up a little bit. I made this too big. I'm very concerned with the space between things. We don't really think, usually, we're not trained to look at the space between things. From a Buddhist perspective, this is pretty important, actually. There we go, much smaller. Right, the space between things is as important as the thing itself. Needs to come closer. I'm finding I'm consistently making these flowers a little bit too big. So I'm adjusting them. As I start to add the spaces between things, I see, oh. That's what,
This guy is pretty surreal little.
I wouldn't call him surreal. He's just abstract. He's abstract.
What's that?
He's impressionist. He's very
Okay.
impressionist. I wouldn't call him surreal at all. Remember, surreal is things that aren't real. This is just a very loose. This is very realistic. Okay. There we go. And then there's these. It's good to know. One of the things we try to do is kind of figure out what are these terms? What do they actually mean? Here we go. Surrealism is absolutely kind of made up and kind of crazy. There's like an abstract. Impressionist is just very loose. And I'm going to put a few, not too many, but a few lines here. All right, I feel pretty good about that. And I might even throw in a few structure lines for the roses. Not too many, but a couple. And that. This is an important one. There's kind of an important dark here. There's like a dark here. Okay. Maybe up here. I'm going to send this over in a second with a few kind of areas where the paint, where the flower is darker and lighter. I'll send the picture over. You can see it. I want you to take a look at my sketch. I will sketch them in here too. I want you to see what my sketch looks like. I might have like. So that's the beginning sketch. So when you think you've got your pieces there, how do I even leave? All right, so let's see. Okay. All right, I'm gonna leave and come back in. Hold on. You guys can work out the WhatsApp thread and I will pop in. Try this meeting again. Here. Here, I'll get a couple of these in as well. These are kind of mid-tone darks. Some are very soft, but they're definitely there. They're good to keep an eye on. Oh, sorry, let me pop that back up. There we go. I also want to tell you that this photocopy of this image is not exactly what's in the book. The book is much greener. I wanted to show it to you so you could see. Can you see how much greener? This is almost gray in comparison. So I think we can play around a little bit with that background. We should work with blues, but we did the blues chart last week. I think we should play around with like what kind of blues we could use. I wonder actually if I can. Well, actually, it is on the thread. I'll bring it down. We're going to do a little tiny red chart before we get going. So we're going to evaluate our reds. Try as I might. Pencil still drives me mad. Don't like it. I do. Oh, good, kind of more on that. Yeah. So when you think you've got it, go ahead and send it through. And if you're having trouble, let me know. Well, how do you feel about it, Paul? Do I need to look at it now or do you want to just finish it? Do you need me to look at it?
Well, I think it's okay. It's a little bit too far to the right, but I think it's a.
Well, why don't you fix that then? Also, I
You know,
connection,
yeah.
great.
Start over. It'll be good practice.
Yeah. Your connection isn't great, so it's hard to hear you. You keep cutting out.
Me?
Yep. You.
It's time for me to get a new router.
It is. How was everybody's day today?
Oh, fine.
Tuesdays are always good, right? You can chill out a little bit.
Well, Tuesdays are horrible all day until the end.
Oh, Tuesdays are terrible. I thought it was Monday that was terrible.
Well, Monday's terrible, but then it's actually due to the printer on Tuesday, like around noon, but I don't usually finish until like 2.
Oh, all right. So Tuesday is terrible until it's not.
Yeah.
My first newspaper job ever was in New Hampshire, and it was a daily that was an afternoon. So we had to be at work at like 6 a.m. and write furiously until 9:30 or 10. And then the paper would get laid out by people at that point. And because it was 1990. And then we would have like a little break, like maybe an hour or two, and then you'd have to gather all your stories for the next day. So there was like this break when the publishing cycle happened. I don't know, 10:30, 11, maybe 12. And then at 1 or 2, you totally had to start going out and getting stories, and often had to stay up late covering meetings and things like that. And then, get up at 6 a.m. and do it all over again. It was really, really hard work. That doesn't really exist anymore. Well, it might for you guys because you go to actual print. Most news agencies are now all 24. The 24-hour news cycle, I don't know how anybody does that. Like, it'll make you insane. There's like literally no break.
Yeah, you gotta thank the internet for that.
Yeah, it really sucks.
It's silly. It's not like people are reading much more anyway.
Hmm.
It doesn't make sense, at least, the articles were, quality articles, well written. Well, I mean, we're talking like decades now. I'm talking about like multiple decades.
You're making Jonathan tired. We're making Jonathan tired. We should stop. Just talking about it is exhausting. I'm looking for my.
I think the biggest money in journalism is like in Better Homes and Gardens and Sunset. Like you could do pretty well just going into like little captions on how to make eggplant carbonara and the best place in let me think the best place to dine and wait, it's coming. I don't want to be too cliche with it. Best place to dine in. God, this is a tough one. All right, I'm gonna take a stab at it. Oh, I forgot the name. In
I think you're losing.
what's that place north of Simi Valley?
I have no idea.
Okay, I gotta look it up on the map. I got the name. I chose the place, but I forgot its name. Fillmore. Best places to eat in Fillmore.
Let's see. Okay, Jonathan, that looks pretty good. Paul, where are you at in the scheme of things?
I just redid my vase, and now I'm trying to basically
All right.
work
Well,
on the
let's
flowers and get that
take a
round
little
approach
break
going.
for a minute from the drawing. You can finish the drawing later. I'm just turning this over. And what we really want to do is evaluate our reds. So we're going to do a similar thing with all of our reds that we did last week with our blue to learn what it is our reds can do. Oh, I'm going to wash this. I'm going to wash off my palette. So make sure your palette's clean. Pull out your reds. Let's see. I inherited some really crazy reds here, which I might throw in just for the fun of it. But what I want you to do is get every color red that you have. And when I say red, well, let's say all the reds. Because gonna be looking for things like warm and cool. You might only have one or two. You might have a bunch.
Does magenta count as a red? I don't think so.
I mean, put it out there because it might be kind of connected to these colors. Yeah, throw it out there. And now I'm going to clean out my palette. I'm going to clean my water. So. Definitely in my palette, I am running out of good cut leg. I'm running out of space. And see, because I definitely don't have room for all of the colors here. So I'm actually going to take a little palette paper, which I use for painting in acrylic and in oil. This is palette paper. It's kind of waxy. Don't mistake it for wax paper though. It's not the same. Cutting up a little bit. And I'm actually gonna move this. And I'm gonna forward down. So if there's reds here that I can't fit in my little palette box here, I can put them here. And then I'm going to, hang on a second, grab this one again. There we go. On the WhatsApp thread, I'm gonna forward down. What this, I think it's better. Yep, I think this is a better picture. So I want you to focus on that picture. Rather than our copy, which we're using for drawing. In fact, I might even this up here, right? It's greener, so it's kind of greener. But as we're looking at the colors, I think it's going to be helpful to see. And I want you to do the same thing last week that we did this week. So I want you to take, this is quinacridone red. And I want you to do a heavy version of it. And then with your, I don't know if you can see here, with my, I'm lightening with water. I'm making, oh, that got a little too light. Right? Make it kind of a little set of streaks across that are light. And then I'm going to label this Quin red, so I know what it is. And then I'm going to clean out my brush fairly. And I'm going to try this color next to it, which is very different. This is cadmium red. You may or may not have these colors. So what I want you to do is work with the colors that you have. I've got some fun ones here. I've got Quinn red there. Let's see. I've got something called Rose Madder. I'm curious about that. So I'm going to stick it in here in the one empty tray. Oh, interesting. Clean out my brush pretty thoroughly. Grab some, ooh, that's an interesting color. I didn't really know about that one. It's called Rose Madder. You may or may not have it. You may have something else kind of interesting and different. Madder cooler. I was kind of hoping I would have an alizarin crimson. I thought I would. Oh yeah, here we are. Nope. Oh, maybe I just have it right here. Each time I'm cleaning out, here we go. Yep. That is alizarin crimson. I need to make a list of colors. I still lose bits. Okay. I have this crazy color called opera pink. And I thought I'd put that up here. I don't think I want it on my palette, but I do want to see what it looks like. I inherited a bunch of colors from an artist, gave me a bunch of things. Valerie. Oh, fabulous. So pink. So very, very pink. Oh, wait, this is called opera. Oh, alizarin crimson. Opera pink. And then when I've got them, here, I'll send these across so you guys can see them. And I love to see yours as well. And you can see that what we're doing here is getting kind of lighter and lighter as you go across. Here. Nope. There they are, but I did send them. See, they kind of change a little bit as they dry. When you've done that with your colors, send them across. And by the way, these are things that you'll want to keep. For sure. Okay. Oh, pretty. Scarlet rose, vermilion, champagne. So scarlet and vermilion are a little bit more orange. Rose is probably going to serve you better. That's my bet.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, he tells you what colors they are, so that he uses. You guys will be very surprised. But this starts to help you. And while you're looking at it, and here's what's really fascinating to me. Permanent roses are applied. We're going to work the roses first. And then we're going to do the background. What about you, Paul? Actually, I think, Jonathan, try mixing scarlet, the top one and the scarlet and rose together. Try mixing those.
Okay.
And send me a sample across so I can see what it looks like.
Okay.
Because I think we might end up. These first washes, we're gonna, who knows, maybe we'll finish this today. You never know. It's possible. The first sort of set of brush strokes we're going to do is going to be pretty quick. We want them to be a little bit soft. How does that look? Oh, did we lose Paul?
Uh-huh.
I thought he was having problems with his internet today. All right, there he is. We thought it was awfully quiet, and then I looked up and you weren't there, Paul.
Yeah, it went, I had to reboot everything. Okay, but I see what you're doing. I'm gonna try to catch up with you guys.
Yes, just catch up with us. We're gonna, so our first layers, I'm gonna read what he's done and show it to you. You can kind of see what the first step looks like. I'll send a picture across, but I'm just gonna right now show it to you. You can see how loose this first layer is. We start with the flowers, and I'll demonstrate this in a minute, so you don't need to. And then we're going to add the background in while the flowers are still a little wet, because what you actually want is a little bit of bleeding in of your flowers into your background. Oops, shoot. Damn it. Just got green on there. Ignore that part. So the flowers, the colors he uses for the flowers are permanent rose and red rose deep. So there's areas that are kind of lighter and darker. And he says, while they're still wet, he covers the rest of the page. Believe it or not, this is phthalo green. And then he puts red rose deep over the top of it immediately to neutralize it. I was fascinated by that. I don't really know if you want to try it. I would feel like you might have a better shot of just looking at the blues that you have and seeing if there's one that's close to this one. So take a look at your blues, but this is green, a quick green wash over everything, and then blues, and then blues on top. So what I'd like you to do is kind of prepare those colors or colors that are like this. You're kind of pink and you're cadmium. Jonathan, how did that come
I
out?
sent it to you.
What do you think? Do you think it could work? That combination of those two?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I like it. It's kind of deepens your I like it. So what I would do is take your rose and your scarlet, and you're going to kind of sometimes mix them, sometimes use them one or the other.
Mhm.
These first layers. I think that'll work out nicely. Paul, when you get a chance, so let me demonstrate the kind of first layers. Okay, I just did this on top of. I have no more watercolor paper. I need to go get some more. My first layers is back down so I can really see it. I'm going to start with my pink. I'm going to use twin red. Yes, I'm going to use, let's see. I'm going to use quinacridone red. And then maybe a bit of opera pink. We're going to see how that goes. I know you don't have those colors. That's okay. I don't even care if we totally match these colors. I just think I'm trying to teach you how to learn what your colors are. I think I'm going to clean, even though I'm going to go for pinks, I'm going to clean my water out so I can start over fresh. Can you guys see me?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, great. So let me get that back. I'm going to go get clean water. And you'll do that a lot in watercolor. Keep shifting out. So I've got that. And in fact, I might get a second thing of water for, I'm going to get a second cup actually for my blue. So primarily because I'm going to be going so fast. So hang on, I'm getting another cup of water. So this is my pink. Let's see. And I would like to use a big brush. Well, yeah, definitely. I'm going to use a fairly big brush on both of them. And with the slightly smaller brush, I'm going to start. Feeling intimidated. I'm going to start kind of lightly. With a light wash kind of over each of my flowers. I know that when these washes dry, they will lighten. So I don't have to worry so much about going too dark, because you can see I'm going kind of light, but I'm going fast. And I'm going through. I'm just kind of going over with this. And then just double checking. Yep, this is exactly what's happening. And then I'm going to take my, oops, shoot. I don't want to adulterate. I'm trying to keep these separate. Let's see. I'm going to try turquoise, which has its own separate cup in here and its own brush. So I've got a brush here and I'm going to come in. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I'm going over all my pencil lines. And I'm quickly kind of, and you'll see in places here. I know it's a little tricky to see, because there we go. But there's places where the flowers get kind of soft. And notice how fast I'm going. Where the sort of green runs into the pink of the flowers, that's okay. Because that will kind of indicate a little bit of the background. You know how sometimes flowers have these fluorescent edges? They're kind of glowy, and you can sort of see the color behind them through them. They become a little bit more translucent at their tips. So that's really what's happening. I'm going fairly lightly. I'm not going too heavy. So the key here is not to go heavy. This first layer is a quick layer. A little bit more. Using the two separate brushes. I'm using this kind of turquoise, cobalt turquoise thing that I've got. You might have something, you get to decide. Right? And then once you've gone across, you're going to go back in with your paintbrush. I'm going to go in with my slightly darker red and darken the darker areas. This is already looking really, oh boy, that's dark. Maybe too dark. I don't know. Yeah, I think I want to darken, but I want it to be a little bit less heavy. However, I'm appreciating the softness, so I'm coming in here with my slightly darker red. Not quite as heavy as all that, but there we go. Here. 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 Definitely in here. Yeah. There's real movement and energy here, for sure. So now go ahead and try that. We'll talk about which colors to mix here for this in a minute, but I don't know if the vase, he's done the same thing with the vase, and I'm going to actually keep these two waters because I think I'm really trying to figure out is what to do with the vase. Yeah, you know what, you guys, we might actually finish this. So there you go. One off. We'll see how it goes. Do not forget to have your blankie, paper towel close by. So if you need to pull off some, you can. Oh. But also kind of watch what happens with the expressive part of this. It's fun. It's interesting. I guess I'm gonna mix a little bit of cobalt in with this phthalo green for the vase. I want the vase to be slightly different in color. And I'm gonna do that too here. going around, leaving out this part where you can see, which is basically like the floor of the vase, which is transparent. And then we'll talk about these last bits here once you've done this. So I know maybe it's uncomfortable to go fast, but it's also kind of fun. So you don't have to go as fast as me. I had a very funny conversation with a fellow art teacher and artist friend of mine. I'm hoping to get her to come and teach with me, actually. She's really fabulous. And she does a lot of, oops, and there's a little bit of bleed over here. She does a lot of, she teaches mostly in person. She's a college teacher, art teacher. And she said, if I have a small class in person, it makes me crazy because I drive the students crazy because I kind of pace around and I bother them and I look at their work. And I was like, you know, my classes are pretty small. I pace around too. They just don't know it. Because they can't see me get up and walk. I've walked around my studio about 6 times since it started. I guess when you're in person, you know, you can't really avoid doing that. It's just a kind of I get excited by the demo. I get excited. I also am like trying to slow myself down. I want you guys to catch up. And I'm like, oh my God, I totally pace around. It just never was an issue. I love the descriptions he has written about this. He calls these ballet roses. And he said, he talks about what he did. My wife and I gave these roses to our daughter after her performance in the Nutcracker. It was not the roses that prompted this painting, but a father's pride. Without emotional involvement, painting is a hollow exercise in moving your hand. It's true. This kind of has a look of dancing. The composition, all of it. I think he's got a real, I think this painter has a real, this teacher has a really good way of making a point. So when you guys think you've gotten to this point, go ahead and send it across. Oh, have you? No, you haven't. And Paul, I know you started over, so it's okay if you're a little bit, if you're not
No, I'm
quite.
getting there. I'm okay.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't try to push up hard is what I'm saying. We'll be okay. I want to give myself a little bit as I'm looking at this. I'm like, I want to darken my background just a bit. Kind of wanting to pull. There is an expressiveness to this. Really, the best thing to describe this is expressive and gestural. Right? That means almost like the lack of detail is really secondary to the movement of the flowers. Sorry, I'm trying not to jump too far ahead. And in fact, I'll be right back. I need to talk to our rectors about something. Okay. It's also okay that we don't really get farther than the first layer too. So I don't mean to push you guys forward. Excuse me. A lot of people talk about trying to control this bleeding thing that's happened, but he's like, nope, let's use it. Let's make it part of the process. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Good. Not bad, Paul. Now go do a sort of light wash here and then go in and add in your darks.
Is that the same color as the other ones?
No,
Or
Rob, you need to look at your reds and figure out which one kind of looks
no,
like.
no, I'm saying the other part on in the middle, the vase itself. It's the same color, right?
Yeah, just a little bit lighter.
Lighter, okay. That I can do.
And then leave these things separate because this is going to be kind of a neutralized yellow Gambogi thing we're going to do.
Yeah.
So just to kind of review what's happening here. This is kind of a neutralized yellow. And he says he uses gamboge, which is here, and then a little bit of blue and red to create a kind of neutral color. That's kind of too green here. I'm going to add more red to it. There we go. If you like that, you can do that. If you want to try a different yellow, but essentially he's mixing yellow and purple. To kind of do this sort of yellowy. This is so red. Let's see. There we go. Also, as I said, I'm okay with you playing around a little bit with these colors. It's kind of a yellow ochre. I'm using gamboge, yellow ochre, gamboge, a little cadmium red, and a little bit of cobalt blue. And I'm going to put that in here. And down here. His is more reddy looking, so not quite that reddy, but reddish. Interesting, but actually it gets more bluish. Actually pulling more blue in there. Yep. Believe it or not, it's a little bit more kind of this neutrally greenish. Right, really this is the reflection. So it's slightly darker down here. I'm happy to repeat any of those colors. A little bit lighter. I know these colors aren't the same. We know that this is not really what's going on here. I'm okay with these colors being the way they are. I'm okay with your colors not being exactly what's happening, but still paying attention to value and working with the general principles. Let's see. Don't get too dark. Be careful not to go too dark, Paul. This is a little bit on the heavy side. You might take and don't forget this space in between.
Let me dab it. I'll dab it down a little.
Yeah, dab it down. And remember, we're layering up. But I like the expressiveness I'm seeing in the mark making. Also, pay attention to what direction your brushstrokes are going. We're kind of trying, because like I can see the marks, right? We want to kind
Yeah.
of in the direction that objects are going. So it's not so scatty, right? Like this, because I can see it every time you go like this, or like, you can see
Yeah.
it. Remember, that's the thing about expressiveness with watercolor. Jonathan, how are you doing?
I just sent something over.
See? Nice, perfect. I know it probably feels like, but it's good. We're doing good. All right. So now we're going to start layering in the dark. We're going to start getting darker with our darks, right? Our dark blues. That looks fabulous. And I don't know how comfortable or uncomfortable that was for you guys, but I thought it was pretty, it's interesting. You kind of have to kind of in a way let go. So to me, these leaves have a little bit of a green, but also a little bit of blue. So I'm mixing green and blue together and then neutralizing them with a little bit of red. I want them to look blue, but I want them to be, I want it to be not as vibrant as the rose colors. So as I come in here, let's see, I just want to make sure I don't go too heavy. I'm going to start darkening. See how I have this little bead of water and I'm kind of pushing it around. I don't like that. I think I do. Yeah. I'm using cobalt blue, viridian green, some cadmium red. Whoops, getting very dark pretty quickly. I'm going pretty heavy, so I'm pulling back a little bit. I want, obviously, my leaves to read darker, but I don't want them to go, I don't want to go too heavy. So see how, like, as I start to do this, even very lightly, I'm dipping my brush in a cup of the water a couple of times, so it's not, oops. Oh, I think I'm just gonna let that one stand. Oh, so heavy. More water. And then once I've got in a kind of darker layer of leaves, I'm going to go back and brighten my flowers with those reds. Right, I'm gonna, because I want my flowers to feel kind of vibrating. I also don't think I can get, exactly the same result as he does, because I feel, as he says, like, I'm not a father. I have no father's pride. So I'm thinking about this. Wait, there we go. Oops. And so I'm kind of now trying to pull off the red. So I'm actually gonna clean off my
Excuse me.
So what we're
Sorry, I
going
was disconnected.
is
What colors were those?
I'm gonna let you pick. It's blue. I want you to look at your colors. It's blue, green, and red.
I'll use that.
It's three colors, blue, green, and red. It's definitely a neutralized color. I'm going darker. There we go, good. There's a few like kind of softer, darker. I'm not even going to really go to those yet. And now I'm going to switch over to my other brush, my red, which I want to stay kind of purely red. And I'm going to go in and do kind of another layer. I probably should clean this up before I do that. I want to get blue. The reds are staying kind of pure. We're not really diluting them with anything. So see how I'm starting to darken that a bit? It's pretty dark, but I think it'll do. Yeah, there we go. So everything around these flowers are fairly just purely colored. Everything around them is kind of more toned down, more neutralized. And that's part of the power of them. How did I go to? Yeah. I'm trying to be careful not to go too heavy. But I am trying to keep this sort of purity of the roses. Nope, no, I'm going there. And then this is definitely also a shadowy color. I'm gonna say, what does he say he uses? He uses cobalt blue and permanent rose for the base. To me, that's a little too purple, so I'm going to add a touch of yellow in. Ooh, a lot of yellow. And, you can get too much of one color in and kind of wreck the vibe. red, gold. And over here. Some kind of fun shadows. Oops. Kind of lighter down here. There are some really interesting, like little, very light, some light, mostly light. Almost. Then a few darker.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
He's kind of slowly building up. Just faster today. Okay. Yeah. Lift that off. This is a job for the blankie. Get a little turquoise in an area I didn't really want it to be. I'm kind of scrubbing that off. And then I'm going back into my flowers. Oh. Maybe back in a little bit more, not entirely. It's kind of fun, isn't it? How you shape it out, how it's just starting to, it starts to shape out. And you're kind of gradually, now I'm like, oh, I think I need to have a little bit more dark in my background. This is turquoise and a little bit of permanent rose. I don't want to get so dark I lose my flowers. So I can keep kind of going. The idea is to kind of work around the flowers with these neutralized greens. Neutralized meaning it's got a little bit of red in it. Going in with me. And I do feel this, I do have this sense of motion here. I still want this to be lighter. So I'm going to have to keep going darker. in here. Right, I'm definitely gonna have to get heavy dark.
How did you get your purple? I'm trying to get that purple.
Cobalt blue.
Oh, it was cobalt. Okay. I'm using like Prussian blue, and I
I'm not
was like,
finished yet.
wait, Prussian blue is like
Hey,
phthalo, and
hey, listen, I'm not finished yet. There are three colors in this. It is viridian green, quinacridone red, and cobalt.
okay.
I want you to listen because it's not like, I know, like it's actually kind of important to get these.
I'm gonna go wash out my palette actually.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to do that. At some point, you may need to clean out your water too.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time. Okay.
Now I'm going kind of heavy dark. Heavier dark here. Right. I'm gonna let that dry. Fine, it's an interesting, we're gonna finish. Wow, go figure. Or close. I feel like I got a little heavy here. So I'm just taking my kind of trying to lighten over here because it's a little bit lighter over here than it is over here. Kind of a soft. Maybe interesting. The sort of final thing once you've kind of layered your stuff in here is there's a few like light super light. Skinny. Little light lines. There's a couple up here. Secret is you've got to wait till these dry. Very interesting exercise. So you may like the results of this exercise, or you may not. I actually think it's one of those things that's worth repeating. We won't do it in class. We'll do something else next week. But I think there's a lot to learn about this kind of the way it's easy to kind of go a little too crazy. Sometimes going too crazy is good. He's done a really good job of preserving the pureness of the flowers, the sort of pure colors of the flowers. I might have let a little too much of my green flip into my flowers. You may be finding that as well. Oops, sorry about that. However, I still kind of like them. I'm going back in with in a couple places. I find I can go back in with my paper towel and kind of pull out if I think I kind of lost my light dark here, my shapes. So I went back in and kind of pulled out with the paper towel the darks with an idea to maybe put them back in. Oh, that's good. That's so annoying. Kind of went a little darker. on the base here. I'm kind of layering in another pink here. This crazy opera pink. I want to see if that will make things better or worse. Purify the color a little bit or not. This is very different than the other exercises we have done though. And I kind of like it for that reason. It's a little bit out of control.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's not bad out of control. Like, whoa. You kind of have to work with what you got. Are you liking it? It's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, we've got like 10 more minutes. So let's work for 10 more minutes. And then we're going to stop, unless you want to keep working. But in my view, we have done what we set out to do. I may have lost a little bit of the light of my vase. So I'm kind of trying to pull it back a little bit. Also maybe darken just a touch here, but not too much. Here we go. I'll need to pull this out again, but I think I can do that. Come on. You hear that little baby? Come on. You are ridiculous. Come on. Here we go. Come here. Check this out. Bye bye. Come here. Come on, come on. Oh, you're gonna be this way. You're gonna be this way. You're gonna be a wiggly. Come on. There you go. Come on. Nope, doesn't like it. All right, I'd like to see where you guys are at. So I'm going to remove the spotlight and have you hold them up.
I'm still trying to get my flowers, but I think it's otherwise. Okay.
Ooh, these are nice, very nice. I love them.
Hold on.
We can't really see it, Paul. You've got the background on. There you go. There you go. Interesting. These are these are great. Paul, I love yours. Jonathan, I love yours. I love them. How do you guys feel about them?
I think it needs some work, but yeah, it looks,
Yeah,
I like
I don't
it. I'm
know.
happy with it.
I think this is a very fast process, right? Like you kind of almost have to work with what I like mine too, right? I don't think mine's that bad either.
Very
It's
nice.
It's not like, right? But I mean, like, I don't like it because I planned it. I feel like it just turned out the way it turned out, right? And that's part of this exercise. I thought this would take a lot of time and we'd need to work really hard, but actually it moved really quickly. Do it again, guys, one more time. I just want to see up.
Oh.
Yeah, Paul, I like yours. Jonathan, I love these, you guys. Look at how different they are too. They're beautiful. All right. So now we kind of see how little you can use. You guys can keep working on these if you want to, but we're going to go on to another exercise. I
Yeah.
was thinking about maybe trying, I do want to try one of his houses. I mean, he's got this street scene thing happening, but I don't think we're quite ready for that. I'd like to try something like a lighthouse or something like this.
Ooh, I
That's
like
cool.
that.
So, which will take a little more time because the drawing will be a little bit more intense and take a little bit longer. But I think this went really well. And I hope you both are as happy. I hope you're both happy with your results because even though it's not done yet, they're kind of beautiful.
Yeah, that's okay.
I know. I like to have more control, right? But there's something kind of beautiful in the lack of control,
Yeah,
right? In the mark making,
yeah.
where you're just kind of layering up. All right, guys, great work today.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Great. Good work. Bye.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.